today is deadlift and back day. Now I want to take you guys for a little demonstration of how to deadlift, because I see some absolutely terrible forms out there. People lifting deadlifts like a cat taking a shit. So you know, I've seen a lot of people hurt themselves doing deadlifts. So I'm gonna finally, as the king of deadlifts, I'm gonna finally teach you guys how to deadlift properly, the proper form, and how to get your max potential out of your body to get your deadlift up as high as it can get. So I'm gonna start with deadlifts. I'm gonna work up to probably just a tough set of 5 or 6 reps. I'll do that a few times as a working set, and then I'll get on to the upper back stuff. Now the upper back stuff, we'll get into this when we talk about the deadlifts more, but the upper back stuff is really essential for getting anything above the knee, getting that lockout. So like the lats, the rhomboids, the back of the shoulders. People neglect these for deadlifts, but honestly that's how you finish your deadlift off. If you haven't got a strong upper back, you will never be a good deadlifter. I always found the best way to teach someone how to deadlift would be a deficit. So you pick the bar out of the rack and you lower it down nice and slowly, and you just touch it on the floor, and you remember that position, because that position is the position you should be starting in. The second rep, when you're doing reps for deadlifts, does anyone ever find that the second rep of the deadlift is always the easiest rep? And that's because once you've done your first rep, the second rep drops in a straight line, and that means it's going in a perfect A to B motion. And usually the first rep on the deadlift, it's usually off that mark, and you're not pulling A to B, you're pulling A, B, C. So to get that right in the first instance is the most important thing. You're getting the most power off the deck, you're getting the most efficient way of how to pull a deadlift. So it's all about dropping the weight nice and slow, keeping it close to your body, keeping it close. Make sure you fold your shins in. Shins are touching, shins are touching, shins are touching. That is the perfect starting position for a deadlift. Now, stand upright, come to the side. A deadlift should always be in the middle of your foot. And when I say the middle of your foot, I mean heel to toe. So the bang in the middle, and if you look down at my foot right now, you'll see that is bang in the middle of my foot, and that is the perfect place to start a deadlift from. That equation works for 99% of people. Some people have really weird levers. I find that small people actually have sometimes the levers are completely different. They have to have it like leaning over the toes a little bit more. But for most people, bar in the middle of the foot, that's the perfect starting position. So that dropping point, that deficit from the top, just proved to me and you that that is the perfect starting position. So when you do a first rep on a deadlift, i.e. a max deadlift, you only get one shot. Always find the middle of your foot. Now that to me, heel to toe, that's the middle of my foot. That is the perfect starting position. What we do from here is we grip the bar with straight legs, as so, and then you don't move the bar any direction. You don't move it forward, backward, it stays exactly where it is. And what you do is just drop your hips, and the second the hairs on your shin touch the bar, that's the perfect lifting position. So keep dropping the hips, drop the hips, drop the hips, there. So the shin's touching the bar, that is the perfect lifting position. Now what you find sometimes is some people lean over the bar a bit too much. They're sort of hunched up, leaned over the bar, so it's nice and easy to fix that. Make sure your arms are straight. And I always tell people to envision themselves in a leg press. So you're in a leg press position, and people always lean back into the heels because that's where all the power comes from on a leg press. And you see people, when I say that to people, they'll just lean back a couple inches, and it just puts that center of gravity perfect. And again, it's all about that A to B motion. You don't want to be leaning over the bar, start pulling, and you're over here, start pulling, and then you end up coming back into the center of gravity. That's ABC again, and that's inefficient. You want the A to B. So we're in this position, straight legs, drop the hips, shins touch the bar, and then visualize yourself in a leg press, so you instantly drop back onto your heels. Keep your chin against your chest for safety, and just pull. like you're in a leg press. That is the perfect deadlift technique. If you're watching from the side, that A to B line would have been absolutely perfect. If you pull it over your toes, this is the #1 mistake I see in people in the gym and people in competitive lifting as well, is they have the bar too far over the toes, like that, right? And when you grip it and you start pulling, look what happens. I'm not going A to B, I'm having to pull it in, then go A to B. And that's what I call ABC. Waste of energy, and obviously you're not getting the most amount of power from the floor to the driving position. Footwork is essential for deadlifts. People go too narrow most of the time, and that for me diminishes a lot of your power. It takes away the quads, puts all the emphasis onto your lower back. So space it out. I always go shoulder width. When I was 440 pounds, I'd go shoulder width plus an inch, because obviously all the bulk here was stopping me going close. So shoulder width's usually about right, plus an inch if you have to. And feet straight, feet like they're locked, because if you spray your feet out like that, then you're going to be falling forward and backward, and the same if you go in. You're not as stable. So feet straight, planted like you're on train tracks. That's the perfect way to deadlift. Hand position. Now, if you can, competition-wise, you want to be using straps. If you're a power lifter, then tough shit, over and under. But for strongman, the most efficient way is double overhand with straps. Now, the width of a grip should always be, so if your feet are shoulder width, then your hands should be just outside shoulder width. So you want it, so when you're pulling, your hands never come into contact with your body at any point. So I usually say, when you found your shoulder width, just do that with your thumb, find the thumb in the middle of your shin, and then grip the bar, and that is the perfect sort of grip. And that way, when you're pulling, it never touches your body. You don't want any extra resistance, you don't want the hand dragging up your body, you don't want to be creating any more resistance, so cut it out. Even to the point where, when I pull the 500 kilo deadlift, I was putting talcum powder, Vaseline in my armpits, just to reduce that resistance, because when you get to the lockout position, you don't want all this friction stopping you from locking it out. You want it to be nice and smooth. Now, the width in which you grip a bar makes a big difference as well. If you've got the bar in front of you here all hunched up, then all your chest muscles, all your lats, your bulk is stopping you from getting that lockout. So you could be stuck here, not able to get your shoulders back, and you need your shoulders back for that lockout, the down signal from the referee. So what I do is go wider, say thumb in the middle of the bar, so that's hitting the middle of your shin. And that way it puts the shoulders just the perfect amount where they're able to drop, and you can basically pull your shoulders back a lot easily. So if I'm gripping it too narrow, what happens is, I can't, it's really hard to get my shoulders back and get that lockout. If I'm gripping it wide, so much lower. The bar actually travels probably 2 inches less, because you're not bunched up here. Watch my hands drop when I move my shoulders out to the side. It's just that little, those 2 inches make a huge difference, especially when you're pulling such huge weights. You know, let's say if it makes 1% difference when you're pulling 500 kilo, that's 5 kilo. You know, it's a lot of weight. So it's very important to get the grip right, the footwork right, and get the bar in relation to your body, so at the middle of the foot. Now, to build power off the floor, it's all about speed. You know, it's all about explosiveness. If you're not explosive off the floor, you're never going to pull a big weight. You've got to be as fast as you possibly can. Think of it as a nail, right? So that's the nail, and the hammer is your arms. So your arms are the hammer. So here's the bar, and you want to be hitting that bar with as much force as you can. So you've got to treat your hands like hooks. So when you go double over, you just want to relax your hands, get the straps on right, so you don't have to think about it too much. Basically, when you start pulling, it's all about that hammer hitting the nail, remember that. So when you start pulling, it's like that, boom. It's all about that massive sort of power from the floor. So if people struggle with back pain and power from the floor, all those free options I've just given you, the footwork, the hands, the bar in relation to your body, i.e. the middle of your foot, something's got to be wrong. You should never get a bad back from deadlifts. It's always about some bad form of technique. So do all those things. I never, when I'm training for the 500 kilo, I never really pull the weight above my knee, because to pull the weight above your knee, anyone can do that. You think about it, you pick a yoke up from this position, most strongmen can pick 500-600 kilo up pretty easy. So you've got the hip power to do it. So why would you train it in deadlifts? You've got the power, so you don't need to train it. It's all about the power from the floor to the knee. So, good tip for everybody out there, and there'll be a lot of backlash from this, I'm sure, right? But 500 kilo deadlifter, no one's ever come fucking close. So, when I'm deadlifting for high reps or speed reps, I'll only pull to sort of here, and then I'll put it back down there. Because from there to there is a hip thrust. Everybody's got the power to do that. So, don't waste your energy training it every single week. Do it now and again, probably every 6 weeks. Get your hips involved, get your hips firing, but don't waste energy on it on your important gym sessions. As I say, from here to here, it's about hip power, but it's also about getting your shoulders back. So this is where all the assistance stuff that we'll do after the deadlifting. So all the assistance exercises is like lat pull downs, rows, really getting that upper back strong. And that's just able to get from here to get to that lockout position. If your upper back's weak, your deadlift will never ever be good. So that's the perfect deadlift technique. Give you all those points there.